Thanks, Keith. I wish I were a preacher. After Copenhagen, there was a lot of disappointment and a sense that not very much was happening. Okay now. What I noticed as governments were preparing for Copenhagen was that there was emerging in this country a powerful anti-coal movement. And as Jim Hansen says, coal is where we will win or lose this battle. And the interesting thing is, it was pretty much below the radar screen. It was hundreds of local groups with fire in their belly. It was the Sierra Club coordinating nationally. It was Earth Justice lawyers arguing brilliantly in case after case opposing permits for new coal-fired power plants. And it was Rainforest Action Network working on Wall Street. The first thing they did was 2 years ago, they managed to get the major investment banks like JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America to adopt the carbon principles, which meant that they would not lend to utilities to build coal-fired power plants unless they could demonstrate the economic viability of those plants after the government raised set a price on carbon. But of course, since no one knew what that price was, nothing moved ahead. So Wall Street literally turned its back on the utilities in the coal industry. In August, in case you didn't pick it up, Rainforest Action Network made another major advance with the investment banks on Wall Street. 4 of them, including 3 that had been lending to Massey, the coal company, agreed to withdraw funding and not to lend to any company involved in mountaintop removal. That was a major victory, and it got very little news attention. The other thing to keep in mind is that phase 1 now, that is preventing the permitting of any new coal-fired power plants, is pretty much over. That's been won. And there's a great book on that called Climate Hope by Ted Nace. It's a short book, it's a delightful read and an exciting read. I recommend it. Climate Hope. The phase 2 is now beginning. Sierra's involved, of course, the Earth Justice lawyers, Rainforest Action, Greenpeace now joining the fray to close existing coal-fired power plants. This is, and we have a lot of them, some 620 across the country, some of them not very large, but on my desk I now have a list of 31 coal plants scheduled to close in the next few years. So, phase 2 is underway, and I would point out that during the last 3 years, coal use in the U.S. has dropped by 8%, and during this same 3-year period, we have seen 254 new wind farms come online with 21,000 megawatts of generating capacity. It's huge. So the transition is underway. Coal is going down, wind is going up, solar is going up. But we've got to move faster. We're not moving fast enough yet. In Plan B, our latest book, we talk about the need to cut carbon emissions 80%, not by 2050, but by 2020. And it's doable. It's going to take a wartime-like mobilization, but this is a wartime situation. We've got to treat it with a sense of urgency, with the sense of urgency that it deserves. How am I doing time-wise? 1 more minute. When we were selecting the goal of cutting carbon emissions 80%, we did not ask the question, what will be politically feasible, but we asked questions like, how fast do we have to cut carbon emissions if we want to save the Greenland ice sheet? if we want to save at least the larger mountain glaciers in Asia, the glaciers whose ice melt sustains the major rivers of Asia during the dry season. When you ask those questions, it's clear that we have to move very fast. And I would say, in conclusion, that our plan is to back out coal entirely, replace it with efficiency, wind, solar, and geothermal. And it's entirely doable. It's entirely doable. It's all outlined in Plan B 4.0. It's online, free of charge, earthpolicy.org. Thank you all for being out.